Okay, next thing I just wanted to touch upon that I thought was of some interest were the transactions that happened over the last several weeks, going back to I think week 2 was the last time we talked. In no particular order, Lynch dropped Bishop Shanky, Gal picked him up. While the jury's still out on him, it is a guy that has the lead starting job. I know Sean Green's supposed to come back, and Shanky's somewhat in the doghouse, but that one may prove to be worth the pickup. Lynx also got Trent Richardson, which I believe maybe it was Paul. I'm not sure who dropped Trent Richardson, but he picked him up, so I think that was a good ad. He's injured, right? I wouldn't say injured fully, but he definitely tweaked something. But he's been putting up consistent points, and they keep giving the ball over there in Indy, so a decent pickup there. As far as Gal ended up dropping Ronnie Hillman in the beginning of the season, he didn't obviously know that Monty Ball would get hurt, but he did, and Paulus swooped and picked him up, and that's already paid off last week for Paulus, and that helped him get his second win. Andy added Quick, and when he finally started him, he ended up putting a dud up. So I guess that's just timing there, or obviously more likely a coaching thing happening with him. Justin added Allen Robinson, who's been pretty consistent, except for maybe the last 2 weeks. But I guess a good bye week fill-in, or a flex play there. He also added and dropped Sanu over the past several weeks. He's been doing really well, so with AJ Green out particularly, so it's good that he got him back. Nigeli grabbed Bennett, who was off to a hot start, and he's kind of dropped off the last couple of games, and I'm sure he'll get his catches in there and bring the points back up. I'm not sure if he'll end up staying that hot, but it's definitely a good pickup and helped Nigeli in a few games there as well. I ended up getting McKinnon, who I think is going to be this year's, maybe Zach Stacy in that middle of the season comes in, gets a starting job, and does well the rest of the season. He's getting the carries last 2 games and the yardage to go with it. So I like that pickup for myself. Nick grabbed Andre Williams with Rashad Jennings out. Derek grabbed Brendan Oliver. That's definitely a good pickup for the few weeks that Matthews is out. We'll see what happens when Matthews comes back, whether there's a split thing going on there or Oliver just keeps taking it. But it's definitely good for the few weeks that Matthews and Brown are out. And then, of course, we can't forget about the infamous trade between Derek and Paulus. Paulus seems to just want to give his players away, whether it was the beginning of the season with me, or now he's giving his Demaryius Thomas, arguably the best wide receiver in the game right now, for Hawkins and Gordon. Totally get the move. At the time, he was, I think, 0-5. His team wasn't playing well at all. It's a mess over there in Washington, and he had his 2 best receivers were from Washington, outside of, obviously, Demaryius Thomas. So I think he tried to make a strategic move, grab Hawkins, and I'm not Hawkins, the guy from the Texans there, who ended up being, I think they were a 13th and 11th round pick, so those are definitely quality keepers for next year, no doubt, assuming you believe Gordon comes back and does well. And I can't remember the guy's name from the Texans there, but Hopkins. He's playing pretty well too, and might be a good keeper selection for next year as well. So obviously that helps out Derek immensely. He does give up a great keeper for next year, so it's a little bit of sacrifice of his or mortgaging his future a little bit. But good move for Derek. Good move for Paulus next year. Would like to have maybe seen Paulus try to stick it out a little bit longer, as he's already won 2 games, and Demaryius Thomas would certainly help him through the rest of the year. He made a couple good waiver moves, so he might have still been able to make a push for it. But hey, he was able to get Gordon out of the deal, and when you look next year, he'll be sitting pretty nice with a 13th round pick for Gordon.